This week's look at the Euro G1 Turbomasters is going to conclude with something that might look a little bit familiar, not only because he's one of the few to actually get an homage of some kind in the modern age, but also because, well, when you see this guy in motion, he's going to start looking a little bit more familiar, especially if you're up on your early G1 toys. This is Scorch, and he is a heavy looking yellow truck. He's got kind of a strange shape to him. The wheels are actually quite small for how beefy the truck mode itself is, and it kind of gives him this dumpy little look that I kind of actually find endearing in a weird way. So yes, he is this big work truck thing cast in yellow plastic. It's just a shade off of annoying yellow, which actually works out pretty well, I think. Like the other Turbomasters I reviewed, this is factory sticker only, and I have no chance of ever finding the factory or the actual sticker sheets to him. So you are missing a faded red to yellow lining down there, and you're missing some extra flames. But for the most part, of all the Turbomasters I've got, I don't think this one really needs it, because there is quite a bit going on here. Aside from the yellow, you can see a dark blue coming through, not only here along the sides, but also as the brush guard around the front, which is hiding where his headlights is. Well, strangely enough, this piece is a little bit of extra pink plastic there on the top. A little bit strange. I'm not quite sure what it's doing there. Pink windshields as well, which is just the thing they were going for on the Turbomasters. It's bizarre. I don't get it, but hey, Europe. A little bit of orange in the back, just to give them a little bit of detail in the truck bed. That'll come to play later. As well as a very heavy turbo motor in the back. Just like the others, it's very turbine in design. In both front and back, you get some heavy kind of jet engine molding to it, to give it the appearance of this thing could take off at any moment. But hey, that also is helped by the fact that the tabs holding his spare missiles are ginormous, and this actually does kind of look like he's supposed to have wings, strangely enough. So yeah, aside from the two missiles on the side giving him a little bit of a boost engine looking thing, he also has one in the front right now. And if these missiles are starting to look familiar, it's because all four of the Turbomasters of the size came with the exact same missiles. So they look exactly identical. It's kind of strange that way. But hey, they're smart enough to know kids are going to lose these things, so give them as many as we can fit on the toy. So, and because these launchers are very potent, because, as obvious, safety laws didn't exist in 1992, at least not in Europe, yeah, we're not going to risk firing that thing off. Without the motor, and the motor on this one in particular fits kind of well because the molding is specifically made to fit in those little grooves, which is nice. So without the motor, he does kind of get more of a natural truck silhouette with the truck bed in the back and everything. But that's not why we want him. We want him because he's a cool robot, or at least presumably he's a cool robot. So let's get him into robot mode, where I'm going to go ahead and rotate this stuff out of the way first, just to get it out to the sides, because this toy needs to come down before we can flip the legs out, as is traditional. This is where some of the transformations are going to start making him feel familiar, because that's going to fold down like that. That'll create a familiar silhouette if you are up on some of the first year Transformers. Flip the head up, and this is the part I like. His arms hinge all the way up and then into position there, which is a unique transformation element I don't recall any other G1 toys having. Right, so that out of the way. Simple little transformation. It's G1, of course. So that is Scorch in robot mode. I do quite like how he looks here. Now, I keep saying he looks familiar, and admittedly you'd have to know the right toy in order to spot it. He is very Trailbreaker, with the hood forming this big belly, the windshield forming where it is, and those big flat panels for his shoulders, even the shape of his legs and the knees. He feels so much like he was supposed to be some kind of Trailbreaker homage, or even a modern form of Trailbreaker. it's a kind of strange little thing, and maybe it's just a coincidence, but there is a lot of similarity between the two, especially if you're looking specifically at the toy shapes. The head mold kind of resembles this as well. He has the kind of, he does have the visor eyes that the old toy had, as well as kind of the boxy head that Trailbreaker had in the cartoon. So there's a little amalgamation there. But it's those big fins off the side that give it a more unique look and presence to him. So maybe I'm just seeing things that aren't there. But hey, at least the head does stand out as its own little design, and that works out fairly well. So yeah, this big dumpy robot is supposed to have a little bit more stickering, but thankfully in this mode, he's really only missing a little bit of yellow on those big fin ears, as well as the still exposed striping down the side. Take a look at the toy on TF Wiki, because even that striping down the side kind of works and looks the way Trailbreakers did. It's creepy, I'm telling you. It's not just me. But here we do have a lot more of that dark blue exposed at the sides of the truck became the shoulders, as well as the thighs themselves. And while his arms do look a little bit small because of that big hefty body of his, everything else seems to come out pretty well. Yes, he does have this big old gut, but hey, every Cybertronian is built a little bit differently, and at least it looks like he can take some heavy punishment in a firefight, so that works out fairly well. Articulation, it's just the elbows. Thanks to transformation, they actually can go to the 90 degree, or the full 180 actually. You can kind of use that, but it doesn't really lead to anything. The same as like, well, they can all bend at the knees because they flip out. Well, yeah, but what are you going to do with them? So, not a whole lot there, but hey, he tries. I'm going to go ahead and give him his gun, which unfortunately kind of has to be held at 90 degrees on him. The one upsetting thing is because of those extra pieces that fit into his truck mode, it doesn't clash with his big old gut, and does make it a little bit hard to actually get him holding the gun in any direction other than straight forward. So that's a bit of a downside. I do keep meaning to actually show some kind of size comparison to these guys, because they aren't your like typical deluxe size or anything. So here's a standard deluxe, and this is why I said he might look a little familiar, because he was homaged by BotCon back in 2010 for G2 Redux. Trail Cutter would have been a more appropriate mold, but he wasn't around back in 2010. But they did what they could. The head's similar. They came up with a similar body shape. Though this one is definitely putting in more sit-ups at the gym. And he's not quite as vibrant either, so that's kind of upsetting. But hey, it's cool that I kind of have the old and the new. I like that. So that, my friends, is G1 Scorch. I quite enjoy this one. The vehicle mode does have this uniqueness to it that kind of wins me over. And part of it's probably the Trailbreaker fanboy in me, but I don't mind the robot mode so much either. So that is my look at the G1 Turbo Masters. They do include Hurricane, who I skipped because he looked a little bit boring, and then Rotor Storm, the big helicopter, but we got him in Machine Wars, as well as what became Machine Wars Optimus Prime, Thunderclash. So it's quite a little faction of toys that never quite made it to the US. But these three this week in particular, not even the molds made it over here, so it's kind of special for me to own them. They aren't the only Euro G1s that I managed to get my hands on, though, so who knows? We might get some garish plastic and some of those iconic eye-searing colors onto this review show yet.